Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and this is Soft Flow Yoga. Do you have trouble sleeping? Well, stay tuned because I'm going to show you 5 yoga poses that will help you get better sleep. Let's get started. As you know, getting a good night's sleep is very important. It's important for just better functioning in your entire body. You'll think better during the day, you won't feel fatigued and tired, and it's just good for your emotional psyche as well. So I want to show you 5 yoga poses that you can do anytime during the day, but could be done actually right before going to sleep to help you get a good night's sleep. Now, we're going to start with some breathing, and then I'm going to move into our practice. And you can do this sitting on your yoga mat. You can even do this sitting in bed, getting ready for bed, because some of these poses you can do actually in bed. Just so you can tune into being present, letting go of the course of the day. Take a few deep breaths. Nice audible breaths, nice full breath in, filling up your lungs. And a complete exhale, starting to feel that tension release from your body. Inhale deeply, exhale completely. When you focus on your breath, it allows you to let go of the things that are going on outside of you, letting go of the things that happen during the day, so you can tune into the present moment and your intention of going to sleep. Also a good idea to turn off the television, put your phone away, so you can really focus on relaxing the mind and your body. As we start to slow down, we are letting go of any tensions in the body, the mind, but also activating the parasympathetic nervous system. It's very different from the sympathetic nervous system, which is very activated. That comes into play when we are working through stress, anxiety. So that's our stress response. So the parasympathetic nervous system helps to emphasize and generate rest and digestion, rather than the fight or flight response in the sympathetic nervous system. Good. Already beginning to relax. Very good. Let's come to hands and knees. Moving through a series of cat-cow poses. Or inhale to tip the chin up, arching the back. And exhale, rounding the spine, chin to chest. And just flow through these postures. Inhale, tipping the pelvis back, creating that back bend. Exhale, rounding it out, chin to chest. We hold a lot of tension in our backs, in our hips. So just a gentle movement here, just to start releasing some of that tightness that may have stored up during the day, up and down the spine, in the muscles of your back, your neck, your shoulders. And again, you can do this maybe on the floor right next to the bed, or even on the bed. All right, 2 more breaths. Then just come to stillness. Our first pose to get a good night's sleep is child's pose. So from hands and knees, I'm just going to take my knees slightly wider and start to sit back, hips towards heels. Now, if your hips don't go all the way down to the heels, that's okay. You can even stay up a little higher. Or for a little support, if you have a big pillow from the bed, or a cushion from the sofa. Maybe you can bring that in. Rest it right underneath you and come to a nice resting space. You can make this active by stretching the arms out in front of you like this as you're sitting the hips back, just getting some length through the spine and through the sides of the body. Helps to release some tension in the shoulders too. And then you can just relax here as well. Now I've got the cushion, so I'm able to rest my head on the cushion, but if you're not using any prop here, maybe you can just rest your forehead on the floor or your comforter, or even stack your fists like this, and just rest your forehead on your fists. You can just take several minutes here, just as it feels good. Maybe 10 to 20 breaths is also another way to kind of time how long to be in a pose. And just as we did at the beginning of the practice, we settle into breathing. So we just want to settle into breath here as well. Another nice thing about child's pose is because the head is down, you're unable to see what's going on around you. So letting go of any distractions. All right, 3 more breaths here. Already beginning to feel a bit more relaxed and comfortable. Let's prepare for our next pose. I'm going to move my cushion out of the way. Now this next posture is legs against the wall. Now you may not have the space to do this, but if you happen to have the space to do this, which just means a blank wall and no obstruction in the way here. I'll give you another way to do this posture if you aren't able to do this actual pose. So legs against the wall, and here's how you can get into the pose. First, you want to sit sideways or right up against the wall with your side, right here. And you'll just go ahead and lie onto your side. And just get your bum right up on the wall, like you're just sitting on the wall. If you've got the space, like a big windshield wiper, just take the legs and just swing them up right here. If you need some cushioning, maybe a pillow or a blanket for your head here. And if you're able to get into this pose, very therapeutic posture. Helps with circulation, especially if you are standing all day or even sitting all day, where all that blood just kind of rushes down the body. It can settle into your ankles and feet. We're just getting a recirculation. Letting all that kind of rush back down away from the feet and ankles. Also very restful, mindful, helps to release some stress and anxiety here. And if you're able, maybe several minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. If you can even just set a timer, or you can go back to that 10 to 20 slow breaths here. Now, an alternative to this pose is just lying flat on your back with your legs extended in the air. And I'll show that in a moment. But it does take a little bit of effort of just holding your legs up on their own. But if you're unable to do that for a long period of time, you can just bend your knees and just set your feet on the floor for a little rest and then return to taking the legs up into the sky. Okay, I'm going to take about 3 more breaths here, and let me show you those alternatives. But again, if you're able to actually perform this posture, wonderful, restful yoga practice here. And when you feel complete, you can just start to relax and just carefully just slide back down onto your side. Let me just show you that alternative here. Again, maybe doing this on the floor next to the bed, or even in the bed. And you can just use a big cushion or a pillow. I'm just going to use my bolster here. I'm going to go ahead and lie down, knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and just press the feet down to lift the hips to slide that cushion underneath and sit. So it's nice and soft here. And then go ahead and extend the legs in the air. And so what you can do here perhaps is maybe hold for, again, 5 to 10 breaths, maybe less, just in case the legs get fatigued in being in the air like this. And if you need a rest, just go ahead and bend the knees and just place the feet on the floor for another few breaths. And then we return to extending the legs into the air. And if you're doing that version with the rest, maybe do 3 rounds of this. So legs against the wall or just legs in the air. 2 more breaths. All right, we're coming out of the pose. Let's bend the knees and set the feet on the floor, lifting the hips and moving the bolster out of the way. Again, you can do this in bed or on the floor. Our next pose is a spinal twist. So you just lie down, knees bent, and just draw the knees into the body. You might even just give yourself a little massage here. I like to create a figure 8 with the knees, which is a nice release of tension in the low back and the hips. And then when you're ready for your twist, you can begin with either side, but let's start by sending the knees over to the left side. Then extend your right arm over to the right side. And just settle in. Now, if you need a little extra support, you might place a rolled up blanket or a pillow between the knees if you need to, something like this. And just take deep breaths, maybe several minutes, 3 to 5 minutes if this feels good. Actually, that's a long time, so maybe 2 or 3 minutes or 5 to 10 breaths. Wonderful for releasing tension up and down the spine, the sides of the body, gets into the hips here. Can also help with digestion. Maybe you had a meal not too far away from going to bed. So it can start the digestive process or continue the digestive process. And again, when we're activating the parasympathetic nervous system, we're activating those devices within, rest and digest. Let's finish this first side. Return to center. I just pause here for a moment and then go ahead and take the pose on the other side. Knees to the right and left arm to the left. Settle in. Take some deep breaths. Relax. Now I hold tension in my low back, so this feels quite nice to be able to twist and start to get some of those knots and tension out of the low back. Releasing, relaxing. That way, you'll just rest a little bit more comfortably as you're lying in bed. As you're holding in stillness, you can just keep your eyes closed if you'd like, and just focus on the breathing, the feeling and the sound. Even count your breaths. That'll keep you focused on what's happening in this moment. I'm going to take 2 more breaths. Returning to center. Pausing here, then setting feet on the floor. Next pose is reclining bound angle pose. So we're going to stay lying down here, of course, knees bent, but bring the legs together. And then let the knees open out to the side, and the soles of the feet may touch. Now, don't worry if the legs don't go all the way down, especially if you hold tension in the inner legs and in the groins here. That's okay. What you could do is maybe grab some smaller pillows or cushions or whatever you might have, and just tuck them underneath the legs like this, so they have some support as they open. Nice lengthening of the spine, opens up through the hips, stretch through the inner legs. Again, 2 or 3 minutes, or 5 to 10 breaths. Just allowing this nice gentle stretch to occur. Not only are we stretching the inner legs in this posture, it might even release some tension in your low back. I'm going to give you a bonus pose to this particular posture, especially if you happen to be lying on the floor. You can even do this in bed as well. And that is creating a little bit of a back bend feeling, creating a little arched back sensation. Let me show you. So I'm going to lift my knees. I'm going to roll to one side, press and lift, and bring in a big pillow or a couple of pillows. I'm going to use my bolster here, of course, and place it long ways right at the base of the spine. And then when I lie back, it creates this nice back bend and heart opening. Then I can come back to that reclining bound angle pose right here. This feels wonderful. Nice opening up through the chest as well as the hips as we create this supported back bend. You might even be able to fall asleep like this. What's wonderful about this pose, because it's a nice counter pose to maybe how your posturing was during the day, especially if you were standing all day. But in the event of maybe sitting all day or sitting in your car for a long period of time, just that sitting process is meaning we're in a constant state of forward fold. And so we want to reopen the body. And so creating these back bends, especially something like this, can be quite therapeutic and beneficial to the body. Let's take 3 more breaths. Good. And now we're on to pose number 5, and that's simply Savasana. Now, you could do this using that bolster at your back, creating this back bend and opened body, but removing the blocks to extend the legs. You can do that for your Shavasana. I'm going to roll to the side so I can remove the bolster, or simply just lie flat on your yoga mat or on the bed. Long legs, making sure the feet kind of naturally fall open, so it naturally opens the legs and hips. Arms down to your side, palms up. And that's our Shavasana. Now, if you're on the floor, this may not be the most comfortable position, so you might put a blanket underneath you, or you can even put a blanket on top of you if you wanted to. But if you need to elevate the legs, maybe grab those pillows again. Even just a slight bend in the knees, something like this. So a pillow underneath the knees might help to release any tension in the hips and low back. And again, you can spend several minutes here. This might even be your position that you actually fall asleep in. If you're a back sleeper, this is wonderful. You could just fall asleep like this, finishing up your 5 yoga poses, and then just drift off to sleep. So several minutes in the pose, or 5 to 10 breaths, but because it's quite comfortable, maybe 10 to 20 breaths. Just letting the body to continue releasing, relaxing. Savasana is also considered a yin yoga position. Yin yoga just meaning you're deactivating the muscles. We're not actively working our muscles. We're disengaging, releasing, letting go as best as we can. So as we release that tension in the body, we can also release that tension in our minds. Just gentle, slow breaths here. Let's take 5 more breaths. Now this could be your falling asleep position, and if that's the case, just stay right here. But if you just needed an opportunity just to find some restfulness and peace in the body and mind, maybe even during the day or even in the morning, just to prepare yourself for the rest of the day with a calm mind, you can do this 5 yoga pose practice. And from here, I'm just going to roll to the side, gently press, and lift myself up to seated. Sitting up nice and tall. Deep breath in. Exhale. Good. And one last movement together. Inhale, reaching out and up. And exhale, bring palms together down to your heart, taking one more breath in and out. Good. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.